Hey guys, Mike here, MF Custom Garage. Hey, I want to talk about a couple things today, and it's not a rant or nothing. I just wanted to go over some stuff. I'm pulling the tranny out of the turbo truck, and I was thinking about this and when I built the turbo truck. So I built the turbo truck, my '68 Chevy C10, and we got it done, and then we drove it down. We went on a big road trip down the coast highway, down PH1 from Oregon to California, then across through to cross to Reno, down into Death Valley, and then to SEMA. In the year I built it, that was just 2 years ago, I guess. Ooh, yeah, 2 years ago. So, but what I want to talk about, guys, was it was a pretty basic build. It was a 5.3 out of a Gen 4 012 GMC Sierra truck, and basic turbo, micro square ECU. It was really a budget type build, but I want to talk about a couple things. So this here is my crossover pipe for my turbo. And if you look at it, it's not super pretty. I'll do a close up on it here when I'm done talking. But you know what, guys? It got the job done. The truck's got probably 10,000 kilometers, or well, 10,000 miles on it, really. Since we built it, it hasn't had any real big issues. Um, if anything, I've had the tranny out, and that's because I hurt the first transmission. It actually had a pump seal let go, and which is weird for a Turbo 400. And that Turbo 400 was in here with the big block. And so anyway, everything was kind of done on a budget to be as strong as it could be for the least amount of money. So to give me an example, like I said, you look at this Y pipe, it just has some cheap blow off valve Performance World deal. Um, I built this pipe. It's half stainless. It's half aluminized. It's sort of what we had laying around. It's all MIG welded. There's no fancy TIG welding here. I mean, I do own a TIG welder, but it's under the truck. I don't understand why guys sometimes just don't worry about what works as opposed to what is going to look pretty in the end and whatnot. This worked excellent. It hasn't cracked. It hasn't done anything. Maybe doesn't even have the best priority on the wastegate, but it controls boost really good. I mean, I've ran this truck now at about 7 pounds boost at first when I headed down to Las Vegas. Then I think we upped it to about 10 pounds boost, and right now we're running 12 to 13 pounds boost, pretty consistent on this engine. Now I did freshen up this engine this year, and yeah, a couple things there. We just put bearings in it and re-ringed it, and like I said, it had a leak rear main seal after because used the original one, and we're going to deal with that all today. But like I said, this pipe worked fine. All the stuff I'm going to show you today, it's all worked great. I did have the dry shaft balance before I left, and a few things which I'll talk about. But I just wanted to bring this all up because I think there's a lot of guys that think, well, you got to have extreme this and extreme that, and it's got to be. But I look back to the original Cletus days when Cletus welded up stuff with a MIG welder and all those guys. And, sometimes, guys, that's all you need to go run your shit and have some fun. Because if you want to make everything look perfect and be $1 million outfit, then you need $1 million budget. Like I said, your home MIG welder and knowing how to weld a little bit of pipe. And like I said, this thing is half stainless, half aluminized, but it all works. And like I said, it hasn't cracked. It hasn't done anything funny. So we run stock manifolds that I cut off. Now, I'm not a big fan of cutting manifolds. Well, I never was years ago because it was hard to weld cast. But I found with these new manifolds on these LSs, I was able to weld it, and I ran it all that way. You know, it got super hot at times, everything else, like it didn't overheat or anything, but it, you know, and the welds that I made with a 110 volt MIG welder held up just fine. So that's all I want to talk about with this. Now I'm going to go under the bottom of the truck as we take it all apart quick and just explain a few more things and go from there. So anyway, that's all I wanted to talk about with this. And like I said, sometimes those original, you know, Cletus days, and I look at how Vice Grip Garage and those guys do stuff. On a budget works, and you actually get to drive your stuff and have some fun with it. Because the one thing I could say, I've had some fun with this truck since I got it back on the road. Actually, it's reignited my love for wanting to do things lately. So that and YouTube actually a bit. So anyway, we'll go over the bottom of the truck here and stuff. Thanks, guys.
Okay guys, Mike here. So yeah, you can see we got V-band clamps here coming down, stock manifold up there with just a MIG weld on it that's held up perfect. Over here we've got probably the cheapest eBay turbo manifold you can buy. It's just a log. I did have to on this back plug here, guys. If you look in here, I did have to build sort of a fancy plug wire with a ceramic boot, but never had any problems. And like I said, it drove to Las Vegas and back, so from Alberta. I did put a flex pipe in here on my downpipe, and again, it's a mix. Some of it's stainless, some of it's another V-band here. And I do have a flex joint. And then I come down here. Because this truck had a big block in it, this is the original exhaust, actually, except it was on both sides. Got a resignator. Comes down into a Summit welded turbo muffler. And then it's just dumped at the diff. 12 bolt, which some guys have seen. Had the drive shaft balanced and built before I left, but with my big block and I still run just a billet steady bearing there. And this drive shaft is held up relatively well. I haven't had any issues with it. Drive shaft loop there, and another one here built into the cross members. So yeah, that's just a general overall look, and then we'll start taking this all apart, guys, and we'll go over a little bit of what's going on. Adapter here for oil pressure line. Those are just cheap. These are just cheap Summit mount plates. I do have the original motor mounts I ran with the big block on there, so this one is pretty solid. And this one over here is just a factory rubber style mount, which I can't really get you guys a good view of. But this Turbo 400 that's in here right now is a built one I just did. It has a whole bunch of good stuff in it, and we'll maybe go over the internals of that here one day. But it has a 34 element sprag in it, good clutches, all the basic recipe stuff for about 1,000 horsepower Turbo 400. So, and not that this motor makes 1,000, but it's not. Here on the motor, we've got a Performance World timing chain cover that has set up for like a flow back for the turbo. You can kind of see the line up through there, guys. So, and then it goes up to the turbo. So, thought I'd give you guys a little better look at this whole thing and the honest to God budget build that it is. And hopefully maybe you guys will take some stuff from this and just realize that big dollar sometimes isn't what you need to do this LS stuff, that's for sure. Okay guys, I just wanted to show you, we pulled the tranny down. So this here is the flywheel that's in this truck, and it's a Performance World one too, multi-drilled for different torque converters and stuff. And it is a dished flywheel, and we've had no problems with it. It was an SFI certified one. So, and then we got the tranny out here. Turbo 400. Like I said, this has a 34 element sprag in it. The drum has been machined for extra clutches in the direct drum. Other than that, just basic stuff, shift kit, you know, all that stuff. Basically everything Mountain's Garage talks about if you're building a 1,000 horsepower. It does have the Sonex bearing in the back. It has all that stuff. Here's the adapter that gets run on the torque converter, guys. So we do have to run that pilot bushing. And but for the most part, again, this stuff is relatively all run-of-the-mill cheap stuff. This tranny, when I did put the air fitting in there so that this can go to a catch can. And then we run a Performance World starter too. Yeah, this starter's been great. Not any issues with it. Fairly reasonably priced too. You can't really buy a normal starter for what that Performance one's worth. So yeah, there's a look, guys. There's a look at my motor mounts. Like I said, this one over here is pretty much solid. This one over here is a little bit of a modified stock GM one, but not much. And then, like I said, just the Summit cheap motor mount adapters, plates. So anyway, and then my wiring harness for my micro squirt and my grounds all on the back there. Kind of as neat and as tidy. Trailblazer SS intake, which is actually stock on this motor. But there you go, guys. It's just a general look. This manifold, I built this so that you get the tranny out. That's what I mean. This is all simplicity, but it works good because you get the tranny out without too much, you know, screwing around and everything else. So anyway, I just thought I'd give you a quick look. Okay, guys. So yeah, here's the bushing, and this is Performance World. I don't know the part number off the top of my head. This is Performance World also as well. And here's the part number if you want it. And this was SFI, sorry. And yeah, this stuff's all pretty reasonably priced through Mopac here in Canada. So I'd check that out. But the Performance World line with Mopac is a real good deal for what you get. So and we've had great success with all the products. So anyway, I just thought I'd show you that part of it. Hey guys, just going to talk about the drive shaft here for a second. So back here, we run like a 1310 U-joint, which is sort of the original going to a 12 bolt. And yeah, I wouldn't say it's the most strongest thing, but yet it's proven to take a lot of horsepower. So I don't know. It's been pretty good that way. This drive shaft, just a shout out to Corey at Driveline Specialties, who built this drive shaft, the front part of it. He did some work on it. It runs a slip yoke here, which was what was original to this truck, because it was a Turbo 400 first generation kind of thing. It's still, again, here it runs a little bit heavier U-joint because it has a conversion. And when I ordered this piece, which was a slip joint piece because the truck needed it, this was actually an LMC deal, and it was pretty cost effective to buy it. I think it was only like $250. But I then took it into Corey. Corey balanced the whole shaft went through it all. So far it's been good, and even before we had the slip joint or the slip joint in here, it was holding up to a lot of power. I've got a billet steady bearing on it, and actually that's been a really good piece. So yeah, everything seems to work pretty good. So anyway, we'll continue on. I just thought I'd show you that, and a shout out to Corey.